This is obviously we have to know about these things for our own health. Finding a live brain worm is rare. 4 ways to protect yourself from more common parasites. This is by Vincent Ho from The Conversation. News reports this morning describe how shocked doctors removed a live worm from a woman's brain in Canberra Hospital last year. The woman had previously been admitted to hospital with stomach symptoms, a dry cough, and night sweats, and months later experienced depression and forgetfulness that led to a brain scan. In the case study published in Emerging Infectious Diseases Journal, doctors described removing a live 8 centimeter long nematoid roundworm from the brain of the 64-year-old woman who was immunosuppressed. The worm was identified as O. robertus, which is native to Australia, where it lives on carpet pythons. The woman may have come in contact with worm eggs via snake feces while foraging for warrigal greens to eat. It's important to note that this is an extremely rare event, and headlines about brain worms can be alarming, but there are more common parasites which can affect your body and brain, and there are ways you can minimize your risks of being infected with one. Common parasites and how they get in. Parasitic infection is extremely common. Arguably the most widespread type is pinworm, the Enterobius vermicularis, also known as the threadworm, which is thought to be present in over 1 billion people worldwide, especially children. Pinworms grow to around 1 centimeter length and are specific to human hosts. They cause intense bottom itching and get passed from person to person, and it's a myth that you can get it from pets. Giardia duodenales, is also very common and can contaminate food, water, and surfaces. This waterborne parasite is associated with poor sanitation and causes stomach symptoms like diarrhea, cramps, bloating, nausea, and fatigue. Giardia cystis, little sacs of immature parasite, spread disease and are passed out in feces, where they can remain viable in the environment for months before being consumed by someone else. They can also be ingested via foods such as sheep meat that is raw or undercooked. 2 types of hookworm, Nectar americanus and Ankylostoma duodenale, are found in the soil. Only Ankylostoma duodenale is an issue in Australia and is typically found in remote communities. When a person is infected, usually via bare feet or contaminated footwear, these worms enter the bloodstream and then hit the lungs. From the bronchi in the upper lungs, they are swallowed with secretions. Once in the gut, the small bowel can cause anemia, that's low iron. This is because they are consuming nutrients and affecting iron absorption. They also release an anticoagulant that stops the human host blood clotting and causes tiny amounts of blood loss. Fortunately, these are very common parasites. They do not affect the brain. Across the world, it's estimated 30 to 50% of people are infected with toxoplasma. Most people will be asymptomatic but may carry the signs of infection. The parasites can remain in the body for years as tiny tissue cysts. These cysts can be found in the brain, heart, and muscle. Infants can be born with serious eye or brain damage if their mothers are infected during pregnancy. People with compromising immunity, such as AIDS or cancer treatment, are also at risk of illness from infection via pets, cats, or uncooked meat. Then there are tapeworms and amoebas. Tapeworms can infect different parts of the body, including the brain. This is called neurocysticercosis, and is leading cause of epilepsy worldwide. Neurocysticercosis is uncommon in the Western world, and infection is usually via eating pork that's undercooked or prepared by someone who's infected with tapeworm. It's more likely in locations where pigs have contact with human feces via sewerage or waterways. Tapeworm larvae can infect muscle and soft tissue. Brain tissue can provide a home for larvae because it's soft and easy to get to via blood vessels. Brain infection can cause headaches, dizziness, seizures, cognitive impairment, and even dementia due to the increase in cerebral spinal fluid pressure. Naegleria fowleri is an amoeba found in lakes, rivers, and springs in warm climates, including in Australia. People swimming in infected waters can have the parasite enter their body through the nose. It then travels to the brain and destroys brain tissue. The condition is almost always fatal. So, 4 ways to avoid parasitic infection. It sounds very scary, and we know being infected by a snake parasite is very rare. Finding one alive in someone's brain is even rarer, but parasites are all around us. To minimize your risk of infection, you can 1. Avoid undercooked raw meat. Freezing meat first may reduce risks, though home freezers may not get cold enough, and it must be cooked to a high temperature, internal temperature. Avoid pork if you're traveling in places with poor sanitation. 2. Avoid jumping or diving into warm, fresh bodies of water, especially if they're known to carry Naegleria fowleri, although not only a handful of cases are reported each year, and you should assume it's present. 3. Practice good hand hygiene to reduce the risk of rare and common infections. That means washing hands thoroughly and often, using soap, scrubbing for at least 20 seconds, rinsing and drying well, clip and clean under fingernails regularly. 4. To avoid soil-borne parasites, wear shoes outside, especially in rural and remote areas. Wash shoes and leave them outside. This is by Vincent Ho, Associate Professor, Clinical Academic Gastroenterologist, West Sydney University. This is republished from Conversation under Creative Commons, and it's on Science Alert. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.